Ronnie made me feel like more of a man than most women have ever made me feel.
Ronnie really makes you believe in yourself.
Ronnie's slogan is, do your best and then take a big rest. Done. My girlfriend said she wasn't turned on to me anymore. She said I wasn't warm and cuddly enough. And then she left me for a comic book writer.
Donut up. Now control drop into your face.
I used to go about my day spending tens, even hundreds of calories doing just regular daily activities like lying down, brushing my teeth, reading a book. Now with the Slob 90X program, I can do these things in a lazy, almost catatonic way.
SLOB stands for slow, lazy, ordinary body. In just 90 days, I can help you become a computer nerd, a party animal, or just a plain old lovable slob. But there's too much crap to explain here now, and I gotta take a nap. So get yours today, and we'll send you the entire Slob 90X 12 DVD set, plus 4 bonus DVDs. Don't be miserable and muscle-bound. Be a slob now. I did it, and so can you.
Couch body.
I'm gonna get myself a modem. 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 I'm gonna get myself a modem.
All right, welcome to Lunch Therapy Interview Friday. I'm your host, Joel Marshall. So glad to be here. Today we've got a great guest. We've got Ned Rice, who is a writer and a comedian. He's written for some of your favorite late night talk shows, some of your favorite comedians. So we're going to find out what that's all about. I was lucky enough to do a show with him in Ann Arbor, Michigan. A couple of shows, 3 shows, in fact, back in November of last year, I think. Pam Palmieri produced it. Here she is. Hoy! So excited to see Ned Rice on Lunch Therapy. Signed on early. Happy Friday, Hummingbirds. Happy Friday, Pam Palmieri. She's a big comedic producer out there in Michigan. Camila Lopez, so hilarious. Ned Flanders. Todd Lee says. Howard Ronan is here, a fantastic comedian himself, who just featured in a big show recently, Slobs Forever. Behind me, Cuttlefish. For those of you that like a little cuddle, we got it for you here on the show. This show started about 5 years ago when the pandemic started, and it's a way where we can all keep our minds right in the crazy shit that goes on in the world. We as creative people, as human beings on this planet, we need to keep our minds right. These are some of the people that help me keep my mind right. These are the Patreons that support the show. Lunch Therapy couldn't be a show without Patreons. You can go to patreon.com/Joel Marshall and you can support the show, support live independent media, because we need it, because there's all kinds of media out there, so much media. But what is it good for you? This show's good for you. One of the things we do on the show, besides showing animals, is we breathe. At the top of the show, we take 3 deep breaths. Please join me, and then we'll bring on Ned. Not Ned Flanders, Ned Rice, Todd Lee. Although maybe Ned knows Ned. Maybe they're in a Ned club. The Ned Club. Gotta ask about that name, Ned. It's an interesting one. In through the nose, out through the toes is what we do on this show. So we're gonna breathe in, we're gonna hold it, we're gonna let it go, we're gonna breathe all the way out, we're gonna hold that. We're gonna do that 3 times. In through the nose, out through the toes. Hold it. It's raining in here. Let it go. Hold it. Let the air come in. Hold that. Let it out. One more time. In through the nose, out through the toes. Hold it. And let it go. You can comment during the show. If you have a question, you have an extra question, you're like, Marshall's not asking the right questions. I need to know these things. You can comment on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, LinkedIn, wherever the heck you are. Todd Lee says lunch therapy is just like COVID. Both started at the same time and they're still around and they keep coming back to haunt you. It's true. It's true. We are haunting. Todd says, bad habit of mine. Every Ned I meet is automatically Ned Flanders. Skip delicious. Wow. Little information about the people behind me. This is Healing Vibrations. They have a channel called Healing Vibrations, but they also have Tibetan Vibrations, which is the new one. And they have Tibetan bowls. These things go for like hours. You could sleep to it if you want. I see Teaching with Chad. ChatGPT for Teachers is here. Holy. That's Super Jeff Lohman. On Tuesday's show, we are going to have a contest, which is what we always have, and you can play from the chat room. You can win $15 straight to your Venmo. We're also going to have Super Jeff Lohman is giving a report from Thailand. He's on summer break there. He also has a channel that I want to point out called Teaching with Chad, which is about using ChatGPT for teachers. If you're a teacher and you want to use ChatGPT responsibly, you want to arm yourself against the students who are using ChatGPT against you, Ginny Sykes is here. So glad to have Ginny here. Ginny is a longtime friend of Ned's. So isn't that crazy? And she also was in the shows with us in Michigan. So there you go. All kinds of crossover in this show. And let's get into this thing. Let's do some lunch therapy interview Friday. All right, so Ned Rice. Let me tell you a little bit about him so that you're aware of all the accomplishments of my guest. He's a veteran TV writer. A lot of us always wonder, like, how do you do that? How do you get on one of these TV shows? You know, a lot of comedians want to do that kind of work. And we don't even know where the entry point is. We don't know what the heck's going on. You kind of have to hit the ground running in there because I hear it's really competitive. So Ned has used his razor-sharp wit on shows like The Tonight Show with Jay Leno, Politically Incorrect with Real Time, and Real Time with Bill Maher, both those shows. The Late Show with Craig Ferguson. And he's written for Joan Rivers, lots of great comedians. He's also a stand-up comedian. So, wrote jokes for people for like 30 years, and then suddenly was like, hey, maybe I should do this myself. Maybe I should take the wheel, as it were. Let jokes take the wheel. That's what we say in our religious groups. Let jokes take the wheel. Some of us even say it correctly. Pam indeed. Pam says, I had so much fun last year with the three of you. Pam indeed. Yes, we had so much fun. And we're going to have a little clip from that after I stop jabbering here. Mama J's here. Hidesies who? Holy. Our veteran writers who had been in the military. Are veteran writers who had been in the military? I think you need a writer. Maybe you should talk to ChatGPT, see if you could write that sentence correctly, Jeff Lohman. Hoy, Pam, Jay, Ginny, Todd, Howard, Jeff. Let's get into this thing. We're loaded up. Loaded for bear, as they say. Interview Friday.
When I was drinking, my drink of choice was a vodka cranberry. That was my favorite. Will I put it in anybody? Yeah, I drank quite a few. I drank so many vodka cranberries, folks. I've never had a urinary tract infection in my entire life. Ladies, back me up, please. Let them know. That's some good stuff. Yeah, I started drinking and actually taking drugs when I was very young. Very young. First time I ever snorted cocaine, I used a silly straw. Because it goes round and round. It takes all the drudgery out of snorting cocaine, believe me. Works for Adderall, too. I think I've just gotten your attention. That's good. Do you have any Adderall? You're useless. I think I drank because I was depressed. Even as a child, I was depressed. When I was 4 years old, my parents caught me in my sister's bedroom with my head in her easy bake oven. I was like, oh, how cute is that? Take a picture. He's trying to off himself just like Grandpa.
All right. Welcome to Lunch Therapy, Ned Rice.
Thank you. It's a pleasure.
That was some dark shit that was going on there. Head in the easy bake oven.
It's crazy. It's all about my pain.
I know. I love that. So amazing to have
Thanks
you
for
on the
fake
show.
Laughs too. I appreciate it.
There was no
Sorry?
fake laughs. The thing that's hilarious to me is also about that particular venue when we were performing there is
Yep.
you'd say things like, yeah, I got a boomerang. You have that joke where you say, I got a boomerang, but it never came back to me. And then you had to explain to them what a boomerang. A boomerang is it's an Australian toy that always comes back to you.
That's how you know you're doing well, when you have to
explain the joke. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So
Now I use subtitles. It's so much easier.
it's a great idea. That is a great.
They're like trained seals. It's great.
Yeah. I try to do subtitles as much as possible because people don't understand me. Do you find that as you get older, people don't understand you more?
What do you mean by that?
I mean, like, yeah, what do you mean?
No.
I don't know.
I'm having to be very careful about not doing references that are too old.
Yeah.
So before the show, I kind of walk through the room and get a sense of like what's the average age here.
Yeah.
And so that way I don't use too many dated references, but
Yeah.
It is an issue for sure.
Wow. So
And you just have to be aware of that.
I think it's interesting that you, like a lot of times we have people on our show that are comedians and they went a very circuitous route to get to be a comedian. In fact, maybe even at some point somebody just said, hey, you should be a comedian because you're hilarious. And so they start doing comedy. You, however, were like a little kid and you saw David Letterman on the TV show and you were like, that's what I want to do. I want to write for David Letterman, which is just
That was it. That's when I decided what I wanted to do with my life.
Really? And what was it? The TV?
But he had the daytime show.
The daytime show.
His first show.
What was that show even like? I remember. Was that even like a funny show, like Late Night with David Letterman?
Oh, it was
more
hilarious,
like,
but it was very funny. But it was like his late night show, so it wasn't suitable for daytime audiences. They didn't know what to make of it. He won the Emmy for best show and got canceled on the same day.
No.
So it was not a daytime show, but anyone could see the potential for that at late night.
It's weird because when I was a kid and was watching David Letterman, I thought he was just making it up. You know what I mean? I didn't think that there were writers. I thought he was like, comes up with funny sketches and then he does them. Hey, I'll throw shit off a building. Hey, I will do stupid pet tricks. You don't even like realize, I mean, maybe I'm stupid, but I didn't even realize there were writers behind the show. How did you even know? Were your parents in show business or anything like that?
Oh, no. Heavens, no. Wow. They had no earthly idea what I was doing. I watched the show every day without fail, and then I would watch the credits. I was so intrigued, and it said written by, and I thought, oh, I guess those guys probably get paid. That's interesting. Wow, there's a lot of them.
There are a lot of them.
It just kind of started to germinate in my head, and I think I wrote them a fan letter, and oddly enough, they didn't answer my fan letter.
Weird.
But that's when I decided, I'm going to New York, and I'm going to try to get a job there.
How many writers do they have on these shows? Because I always hear people say, that they wrote for SNL or they did this, and they're always trying to get their sketch on, or they're trying to get their joke on air. Are there just a ton of writers that it's hard to get your jokes on the air?
Oh, yeah. Well, it depends on the show. SNL, sometimes they have like 20 staff writers.
20. Wow.
A show like Letterman would probably have about a dozen. And same with Leno. For Bill Maher, it was about 7 or 8. And then some shows use freelancers, the people that you fax in your jokes. I started that way. And whatever ones they use, you get paid for.
And how did you know to fax in? Was this after you were a page at NBC?
Oh, yeah, considerably. I actually wrote a submission to the show, and NBC had an employee writing contest, and I submitted to the show, and I came in 3rd place. And at the time, I was actually the page assigned to the Letterman show. So I would talk to the writers every day, and they didn't. For some reason, I entered the contest under my legal name, which is Edward Rice, and they had no idea. And then finally, somebody said, "See the guy at the desk there out front who hands you your dressing room piece? That's Ned. He was in the contest." So that's how it came about. And I had an interview, and Steve O'Donnell, the legendary head writer, said, "This is a good submission. You should keep submitting." So that was my first little taste.
Oh, well, that's cool. So being a page is helpful to your writing career? Was helpful?
It was for me. Plus, it was the most fun job ever. I mean, you'd go to all these TV tapings, and most of the people in the program were relatively attractive. It was like a big co-ed fraternity, lots of parties. And then we went to all the rap parties for every time you'd go to SNL, Letterman, Cosby, all the different shows, and there was always a rap party. And so it was pretty exciting. You could, I definitely got to meet some of the people I really admired.
Is that what?
So it's a great job.
Is that like a great entry level position for people? I mean, in show business, because people are always looking for ways to get in. Is that, and is it very difficult?
That's one way to do it.
Is it difficult to get that job?
That's one way to do it, although not as much for on-camera stuff, but a lot of executives started as NBC pages. And that's what that's why they created the program. It was an executive training program.
Oh,
and then if you want to be a tech, if you want to, be a cameraman or an audio person or something, that's another way of doing it. So yeah, it can be helpful.
I got a clip of you.
And it's really fun.
I got a clip of you on David Letterman.
Oh.
Guest on the show, but you'll come in here and show up and do what now? Oh, I'm sorry. Is there anything you can do to keep that kid quiet? Huh?
He's a little cold.
All right, well, take him out. Just take the baby out. Do you mind? It's a page, and you just go on out. You folks can...
Wait. Is it okay if we stay? We've really been looking forward to your Mike Tyson tonight.
Oh, sure. All right, just give him the baby. All right. So you get it in the lobby, all right? Okay. All right. Thank you very much. All right. It's a wacky night, isn't it, Paul?
So did they use pages in the sketches back then? Is that like an often?
Yep.
They did that a lot, and they were actual pages. They're not like
Sometimes.
somebody pretending they're a page.
Oh no. Well, sometimes they did. Sometimes they had actors pretend to be pages. Yeah, Chris Elliott would do that sometimes. And then there was a character on 30 Rock, Kenneth, who was supposed to be a page.
That was good. That was a great character.
When I did that sketch, I had been working as a page for a week, and they said, "Hey, do you want to be on the show tonight?" I'm like, it was like saying, you're batting next to the Yankees. I was like, yeah, I think I want to be on the show, and it just happened so easily. And I think they even paid me like $110 or something. That was so exciting. Jeff Martin was one of the staff writers. He was the guy sitting on the aisle seat, and his wife had actually just had a baby, and they thought it would be funny to do a sketch like that, and it worked out. And then a few minutes later in that same show, Joan Rivers did a walk-on.
Really?
And little did I know that 30 years later I'd be working for Joan.
Yeah.
So
oh my God.
It's a very intense little tape there.
We have a question from the audience. I thought the cast of SNL wrote the sketches and pitched them to Lorne. That's what I thought too. No.
I mean, some cast members would do some of the writing, but a lot of times writers will pair up with a favorite cast member and say, "Hey, I wrote you a piece," and it becomes a partnership. But the cast members are not required to turn in sketches. That the writers are required. Like John, what's his name? John Mulaney. Is that his name?
Yeah.
He wrote all the sketches for Stefan, the Bill Hader bit about the guy who knows all the stuff.
Yeah.
That's how John Mulaney put himself on the map.
I wonder about
So,
that when you're writing for other comedians, do you have to take their point of view or do you have to their style? Do you have to take that into effect or into account, or do they just put
that's the whole assignment is write in their voice, use words that they would use, and of course their point of view too.
Yeah.
It has to be true to not who they are actually as a person, true to their character. It has to be something that character would say, and to the point where certain comedians didn't even like to use certain words.
Oh.
Like Craig Ferguson used to get mad if I used the word folk. Like, yeah, you folks, that enraged him. I'm like, okay.
I could see why.
And Joan Rivers hated the word camel toe. I can't imagine why, but he could never use that word in his sketch. She'd get mad.
Did you get fired? It's like a pitfall. Howard Aronin says, "Would you consider teaming up with me and doing an act called Rice Aronin?" I think that's a great idea.
Howard, I can see that you've been writing, and keep it up. Nice work there. I have some notes on your script. We can talk after the show.
People are
it's
auditioning.
the Blue Jaguar. Please bring it around front.
People, we're all auditioning here. Let me just check the. I don't know. The chat room is asking weird questions like, "How about a moose knuckle?" Which really throws the thing completely off.
I don't drink, but thank you, Todd. That's very kind of you.
It's very kind of him.
I assume that's the tasty beverage.
So what was the first place that you started working in the writer's room?
Remote Control. It was a game show on MTV.
Oh my
way back
God,
when.
Yeah.
And the stars of the show were Ken Ober, who's deceased, Colin Quinn, who's the first guy I ever wrote for, my favorite, and Dennis Leary was on the show, and Adam Sandler, and other future stars. But that was my first. I
lost it. Hold on here. Hold on.
This is me and Al Lewis on the Tonight Show.
That's you and Al
Grandpa.
Lewis. Yeah. Oh, I've got another thing though. I wanted to show. That is Grandpa, right? Because I was wondering.
That's Grandpa. Yep. He had a pizzeria in the Village in New York when I lived there.
Oh, he did. I love Grandpa.
Yeah, and he would sit at the front door and greet people. That's why it was successful.
It's interesting too because Al Lewis, he was an activist as well, apparently.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Let me guess, for dead people?
I was looking him up because he was a big free speech advocate. And I was looking him up because I was trying to figure out if this was a picture of you with Grandpa, and because there was no caption.
You know, Grandpa was known for that. I mean, he went out on a limb. Any number, like some of the things he said to Herman, I thought were very.
Oh my God,
correct.
I know some of the stuff.
Very daring, very edgy for the time.
And that,
like when he said, "Herman, you big boob."
Oh,
I mean,
God,
you couldn't say things like that on TV in those days. But Alois, you know what? Alois didn't care.
Yes.
He said, "This is more important than some silly TV contract. I have to
so
be me."
smart of them, and so progressive.
Amazing.
But this was the picture I wanted to show. This one of
That's
you
remote control. Yeah.
on the show Remote
That's
Control.
Me. Yep. My friend Mike Rowe, who I just saw this weekend in LA, he's retiring, semi-retiring, moving back to Connecticut. He and I worked on a bunch of shows together. And this was when we were wearing our roast jackets. We did a celebrity roast hosted by Colin Quinn. And Colin would roast the person without saying their name, and the contestant would have to guess who was being roasted. And then
that's
at the
brilliant.
end of the show, for the last episode, we had. Do you remember Henny Youngman?
Yes, of course.
So he was on because he's the ultimate roaster. And at the end of the show, they had to fill, so they said everybody dance. So Henny started dancing with the girl. You know, there's always a girl on set.
Yeah.
And then I tapped him on the shoulder and said, "May I cut in?" And because I grew up watching the Three Stooges, I started dancing with him. So me and Henny Youngman were dancing cheek to cheek in my first show. That was a pretty big moment in my life. And we kept in touch for years after that.
Was he one of your idols growing up, Henny Youngman?
Absolutely. Henny? Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Master.
Now, Remote Control, you would write questions, right, for the quiz. Is that
Correct.
right?
I wrote questions and then we would write sketches, you know, like create characters, like Colin doing the roast, or Adam Sandler played what was it, the Jungle Boy or something, some kind of primitive. Dennis Leary played this sort of a magician from Germany who had a bad hip, and it was pretty wild. You know, it was kind of anything goes. It was a lot of fun.
And did they all? So were there sketches in between, or did they all? I remember the show from when I was like,
Well, there weren't sketches,
college
but
or something.
like,
But
they would say,
yeah.
Okay, here's our next category is, and here to read the questions for you. Here's Gunther. So Gunther, the character, would read the question, and it could be about vintage TV or
I remember now.
female co-stars or whatever.
Yeah.
Then Gunther would do a little bit. And in the process, he would be reading each question that the people were trying to answer.
That's cool. Are you the guy on the right or the guy on the left? Because you guys look like you could be brothers. You're the guy on the right, right?
Oh, gosh. I'm the guy on...
You don't know.
Over my head.
You don't know.
I have more hair.
Okay, there you are.
Yeah, that other fat, ugly guy, that's not me. I'm kidding. One of my favorite people in the whole world.
Oh, God. Mama J says,
Yeah,
you
fun.
seem way laid back and not wound up. Are you a kind of a relaxed kind of person?
Mama, have you heard of a thing called fentanyl?
No.
Does that name mean anything at all?
We are not. We are
If not, I'll talk to you after the show.
And now a commercial for fentanyl.
You know what I'm saying?
We are not advocating fentanyl on this show. Thank you very
Hardly.
much.
No, I'm an OxyContin baby. That's way back. That fentanyl is whack.
That is, it's whack. Dare mighty things, and that's what we're doing. We're daring mighty things on this show. Okay, so remote control. What was that culture like at MTV? Wasn't it just like a total party culture back then?
Pretty partyish. Yep. A lot of fun shows. They didn't pay much, but we didn't care. There were lots of good parties, and I also did shows like in Florida for them, and I did one in California. After I left New York, they offered me a dream job, be like the all-around go-to guy for MTV. I wouldn't have a particular show. I would just go wherever I was needed.
Wow, was it?
And it was like $100,000 a year, and I turned it down because I said I'm never going to live in New York again. And I was broke at the time.
They wanted you to move to LA. Is that what it was?
No, they wanted me to move back to New York.
Oh, to New York, and you hated New York that much?
I said, no, thanks.
What was it about New York
anyways.
that you didn't like?
It's just a cold, unfriendly, dirty city full of desperate people.
Oh my God, there's so many. All the New Yorkers
That's what
are
it-
so depressed right now that you just dissed on them like that, Ned. Because
No,
you
the
know
people are- the
their
people are
egos,
great.
their egos are not big there in New York. You know.
No, the
No.
people are wonderful. It's the mass transit I didn't like.
So what did
No,
you
it's
do?
hard to imagine that I ever lived there.
How did you even have the guts to turn down a huge job like that? Like, is that something that
Well, that's
helped or hurt your career?
like I said at the time I was broke,
Yeah.
but I thought I just can't go. I see. The way it works is you learn the business in New York, and then you graduate, and then you get to go to LA. It's like high school.
Oh,
versus
you felt
college.
like you're going
And I
back.
just couldn't bear the thought of going back to all the same dirty.
Did it turn out to be a
ugly,
good
mean-
decision? This bold decision of yours to turn down this?
It worked out. Yeah, it worked out. I was down to like my last $100 or something, literally. I was like looking into my apartment for, is there anything here I can sell?
Oh no. And then
I
what
called,
happened?
just for the hell of it, I called the Tonight Show because a writer I worked with on the Chevy Chase show had just been hired there. And I called him up and he said, Ned, I was just about to call you. Are you working these days? Are you busy? And next thing you know, I was interviewing at the Tonight Show. Like, oh my God. That was a close call. But I got it. So I was there for 2 years and then went from there.
Did you?
But, yeah. It was nice.
Hold on a sec. So was that through a friend that you worked with? Like, is there a community of these writers that help get each other jobs?
A lot of it's word of mouth. This guy, his name is Joe Toplin, and he's still a friend of mine. He was one of the staff writers at the Letterman show when I was the page, the Letterman page. Every day I'd say, "Hey, Joe," like we kind of knew each other to say hello to.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I got my first Writers Guild job, there's Joe right there.
There's Joe
My
Toplin.
first Writers Guild job was at the Chevy Chase show.
Yeah.
And Joe was the co-head writer there. And I was only there for 4 weeks and it got canceled, but I got all my money. And then sure enough, a couple of months later, I don't remember doing anything impressive there, but I guess I did. Or it could have been just my sleek, my animal magnetism. That could have been it. But
yeah.
I wasn't making any kind of impression on Joe, but sure enough, he called me up and offered me a job. So, okay. That worked.
So were you able to just go right into that? I mean, what was that like working for the Tonight Show? Was that cutthroat?
Well, it was interesting. I want to say right off the bat, the nicest person I ever wrote jokes for by far was Jay Leno.
Really?
The nicest, most generous, most human, down to earth, do anything for you. Jay Leno is a true saint. But in those days, every writer I knew was either a Jay guy or a Dave guy.
There was a big
'Cause
competition.
those were the two guys.
Yeah.
Those were the two late night towering, twin towers, you might say.
Yeah.
And I was hardcore Dave guy. Like Letterman was everything for me. And I didn't really like the Tonight Show that much. I thought it was very soft, very middle of the road. So I went to work for Jay with that in mind. Like, obviously I can't say anything like that. But in a way, my heart was never really in it. But I mean, you can't turn down that job.
No.
And I made the best of it.
Yeah.
But I always felt kind of like, I was sort of behind enemy lines in a way because I was, my true loyalty was with Letterman, but they never offered me a job. So, I had to work. But I wasn't a great match there. I was only there for 2 years. And Jay was sort of famous for never firing anybody. But eventually they probably would have found a way to drop me because I just didn't see eye to eye with the head writer.
Wow.
So
a few comments.
I always wanted to do sort of smarter stuff, and they didn't go for that.
Yeah, I want to ask you about that. Matt Wright says, was Chevy's show canceled because of fist fights? Now, Chevy Chase always gets a bad rep. How was he to work for back then? It seems like he would be ideal for a talk show, but the talk show flopped, apparently.
No. Chevy has one of the worst reputations in Hollywood He was never anything but a big sweetheart. He was so nice to me.
Really?
So humble. So he worked hard. He was a terrific guy. The problem with Chevy was, and he knew this, he wasn't the host. You know, the host is like the bus driver.
Mm-hmm.
And that's Johnny and Jay and Dave and whoever. Chevy was the guy in the back of the bus making wisecracks.
Yeah.
That's who Chevy is.
Yeah.
Putting him in the focus point of the show was never a good idea. It was never going to work. And they said, well, he knows all these people. Well, yeah, after about a week, he'd run out of Hollywood friends, and they started recycling, and the show was just horrible. It was just the first show was so bad that people watched the first show and never came back. So after that first show aired, it was doomed. There was no saving it.
That's
and in fact, I think it was only on for like a month. They brought me in 2 weeks after the show started, and it was already dead. It was already dead in the water. So, but it got me. You know, there's two kinds of writing jobs: guild and non-guild. And non-guild shows are like remote control. They pay you whatever they want, a couple $100, whatever, $500. With the guild, there's minimums. You know, it's always at least $2,000 a week, and full benefits, everything you can think of, medical, pension, residuals. So it's a whole different world. So when I got Chevy, I really felt like I was in the big time.
Who is your favorite?
And it went from there.
Who was your favorite person to write for, though? Did you say this already? Your favorite comedian to write for? Because you've written for some of the greats.
I love writing for Colin, and I love writing for Joan Rivers. The show I'm most proud of was Bill Maher. That was the toughest writer's room I was ever in, the best writer's room. To me, the Bill Maher shows, those are like people my dad's age would talk about the war, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Like their most remarkable thing in their life. Mm-hmm. That was mine. Writing for Bill Maher, I was there for 7 years. And I was never one of the top guys. I was kind of a jack of all trades there. I pitched ideas, I wrote jokes, I interviewed guests, different shit. That was the show that I was most proud of getting jokes.
Well, I mean, you have to be really smart and really
nothing
on top.
but respect for Bill.
Really on top of the news cycle to do that show. Like you have to.
I did a lot of homework. I still kind of do it. But in those days, you couldn't take it in a meeting.
Yeah.
You brought up, some political issue. You better know what you were talking about.
Yeah.
And this was during the George W. Bush years. So there was a lot of.
God, you'd have to be like a reporter, knowing like everything about it, so that you didn't take a total misstep or make him look bad.
Well, every day we would write what we called issues. Like, let's say it was, it would always be something specific. It wouldn't be like affirmative action. Let's say it was like some kind of tax law. Mm-hmm. You would have to do a bunch of research, and then you'd have to write an 800-word essay about it, which would state Bill's point of view, his opinion, and have jokes in it. And then you had to write a page or two of jokes, and then you had to put a bunch of facts. So it was like writing a big book report every day.
Did they shoot that show live?
You better know what you were talking about.
Do they shoot that show live, or is it a live show?
I was pre-taped. It was pre-taped. It was live to tape. I mean, they didn't take breaks.
So it's like fake time. It's not real time. It just isn't real time, I guess. Fake time. So tell me.
When Bill moved to HBO, he wanted to name the show True Dads, but they wouldn't go for that. So he said, "Okay, how about Real Time?"
Okay,
said,
that's
Bill,
better. You're
better. So edgy.
And you were also on Politically Incorrect as well. So you had been with Bill for a while.
I did both shows. Yeah.
Wow.
And I was there when Bill got in trouble for saying, say what you want about these terrorists that flew into the World Trade Center. A coward would not do that. I'm not defending them. But
he said that on Politically Incorrect, and that's what.
Yeah, and he pretty much that pretty much. I mean,
I remember he was just down and out for a while there, and then came back.
Pick up his contract after that. Yeah.
Kamala says, "What's going on with Bill nowadays? Visiting Trump, leaning way right."
Bill is Kamala. It's great to have you on the show. By the way, I'm sorry about last November. I still am in touch with Bill.
Yeah.
He came to Detroit to do a show, and I went to see the show and talked to him afterwards, and he couldn't have been nicer. And he's actually emailed me a couple times with kind of miscellaneous things.
Yeah.
Which is funny because again, I was there for a long time, but I was never one of the inner circle, like his favorite. I was kind of just like an average. Anyway.
So if the show
he's
happens,
a gracious person.
we went to see the show one time, and I think it was because Ginny got us tickets through you, is what I'm thinking. And it's a great show. The thing that I'm wondering about though is like if they shoot it in the afternoon, what time do you? What's your day look like? Do you get up super early and go through all the news and then write these things? And then, I mean, how did they? What's the timeline?
Well, we would write jokes every day.
Yeah.
And because some of the jokes had a day or two of shelf life, you know.
Yeah.
But we would write jokes every day in the morning, and then in the afternoon we would pitch topic ideas to him, and then the ones he liked, we would write those up.
And what's that look like? You're sitting in a room and he's like at the head of the table, and everybody's like, "I got one, I got one, I got one." It's like that.
Yep.
Wow.
Yep. Sometimes you would run it by the head writer first, but the meetings are important because, and that was really the arena. That's where it got quite lively in that room because not everyone agreed on things.
Yeah.
And part of the job, to be perfectly honest, part of the job was keeping Bill entertained. I mean, you can't have the talent get bored. I mean, we would try to make it light and funny for him. There was a lot of really funny guys in there. There weren't comedians for the most part, but it got pretty funny in that room.
You know,
at times it got pretty intense.
When you go to like an open mic and there's all comedians in the audience, they don't laugh.
Mm-hmm.
What's it like in the writer's room? Is there a lot of laughing, or is there just a lot of serious and you're lucky to get a laugh?
You had to earn it.
Yeah.
You had to earn your laughs. But then again, I mean, sometimes we would adopt sort of like we each had our own character. Like my character was Mr. Potter from It's a Wonderful Life.
Yeah.
I would pretend to wheel myself out of the room. Another guy would pretend to clear the table. Billy Martin would do that, like dump everything on the floor. Another guy would pretend to throw up, like in a cartoon. So there were certain shtick that we would do all the time.
Shtick that you could count on. Here's the question: were there any women in the room?
Oh yeah, to get the coffee and stuff. Yeah, somebody had to clean up afterwards.
Oh no!
What?
No. Oh no!
I worked in late night TV for a long time, and in all those years, I probably worked with maybe 3 women.
Really? It was that much of a boys' club?
There weren't very many. There's a lot more now.
Yeah. Was it? It must have been really hard to be a woman in a writer's room back then. Just to even get in there, I guess, is hard. But then,
I mean, it got to the point where I couldn't even come to work in drag anymore. It was that scary. It was that risky. It was a different time.
And dance. Oh, there's the women that dance too. Kamala says.
Yeah, it was not particularly diverse that way.
Diverse. What about, what do you think? Okay, so, we've got this other question here that I think is really pertinent. With streaming upending the late night world, where's the future of that genre and how will it change? Boy, there's a big question for you.
I think I was in late night TV's last great era.
Mm-hmm.
I think late night TV is going away. If you'll notice, the Tonight Show, the Tonight Show, the Late Show, and Kimmel, they only do 4 shows a week now. They used to do 5.
Mm-hmm. And it used to be everybody was watching it. Everybody was watching it.
Everybody.
Yeah.
Everybody. Now, it's an afterthought. I mean, Greg Gutfeld is beating all of them in the ratings. He's on Fox. And with all the baggage that implies, he's beating all of them.
Wow.
It's not water cooler TV anymore.
You write for liberal shows and conservative shows because you wrote for Gutfeld too, right? How do you even do that? How do you take a different? I don't know what your point of view is politically, but how do you take?
You have to be nonpartisan and just what's funny about this? Not what conveys a political message, because I don't do that. I don't preach. I'm not trying to convert anybody. What is funny and absurd about whatever this person did, no matter which side of the aisle they're on? And it's not easy, but I think it's the best way to go. I mean, you can be a card-carrying Democrat and still admit, it was kind of funny when
I noticed you did that in Michigan because You do a lot of political humor, or you do some, not a lot, I guess, but you do some.
Not very much.
You do
honestly.
some.
I
You
try
do
not
some.
to.
Yeah. So when we were in Michigan, a couple of places we went to, you did a joke about Biden, and then you did a joke about Trump, and that was during the election that was going on.
Yeah, I try to do. That was, I don't take my cues from him necessarily, but Jay Leno always made a point of doing half and half.
Mm-hmm.
If I do 5 Republican jokes, I'm going to do 5 Democrat jokes. He said, why on earth would you alienate half of your audience?
Mm-hmm.
You should never take a position, unless that's actually who you are. Like if you're Will Durst or something,
Mm-hmm.
If you go up there with a partisan perspective, you're going to lose half your audience as soon as you start.
Well, I noticed that in Michigan, we were at that golf club, and you did the Gauchi golf club. You did a joke about Biden,
Mm-hmm.
and there were groans in the audience. They were like groaning,
Mm-hmm.
but then you like kind of turned it around because it was not, it's a pretty harmless joke, and then you turned it around and got them, but it was like it felt like you were losing them for a second. But you were, you had it kind of built in. But that's probably the way it is in Michigan, because Michigan is a purple state too. You have to be careful.
Yep.
And you might.
You have to be ready to go either way.
Yeah, that's interesting. So how did you? Oh, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. It's one of my favorite venues, lunch therapy. I am. Why did you never do stand up?
Good to be back.
It's good to be back. I'll be here all week. Were you? How come you never did stand up? You did in college, and then you wrote all kinds of material for all kinds of comedians, Joan Rivers, all these people, and you never got on stage. I don't know how that happens. And then later on, you're like, hey, maybe I should just tell my own jokes. How did that happen? And why did it not happen earlier?
I did stand up in New York, and I was just terrible. It was awful. And then when I got to LA, I thought, well, that's over. I'm just going to pursue this and see how far up the chain I get. Maybe I'll have a sitcom someday. So it literally never even crossed my mind. And I even worked on like showcase shows where they had nothing but stand up, like Comic Strip Live with Wayne Cotter and stuff like that. It never occurred. And so I spent a lot of time in comedy clubs. I knew a lot of comedians.
Weren't you even a bartender at the Improv or something?
In New York, I was. Yeah,
in New York.
So that's where I first got introduced to it.
Wow.
But then when I got out of LA, because the work was dried up, I came home and I was kind of looking for my next chapter, and I just happened to go to a show that's Atlantic City. I was at Resorts.
Oh, really?
In 1991.
Okay, sorry, I interrupted you, but go on.
That's okay. So when I got back to Michigan 9 years ago, just for the hell of it, I went to a stand-up show locally, and I thought, well, I could do that. That doesn't very hard.
Yeah.
And so I started doing it, and it was during pandemic, so a lot of shows were canceled. But I had a friend in Denver, Mike Langworthy, who was doing a Zoom show every twice a week. And so I did like millions of sets for him, and I just started to get, believe it or not, I started to get some stage jobs just from doing that.
Yeah.
So that's when it started.
But you never looked at Bill Maher and thought I could do that, or you never looked at some of these other comedians?
No. They're pros. I mean,
yeah.
Pretty much everybody I worked for was a pro.
They were definitely pros.
They were way out of my league. That's how they got their shows.
That's how they got these.
Even if you don't like
to be on every night like that, yeah.
But I mean, he also has like 50 years of stage experience. You know what I mean? Tens of thousands of sets all over the world. So you can't argue with that, really.
And what is it like in Michigan doing stand-up? Do you have your own, like, how do you do it regularly? Because you obviously want to get better, and you're a really good comedian as it is, and you're growing. How do you get stage time in Michigan? Regular stage time.
I do as many spots as I can every week, and I'm starting to get a certain amount of respect. People are like, oh yeah, Ned could do the show. Like, you just sort of start working way up. I've started to do feature spots, which are like 20 minutes. Mm-hmm. And I've headlined about, 6 or 8 times.
Have you done
So
the
people are
Comedy
starting to-
Castle in Detroit? Yeah,
I've never headlined there, but I featured there.
that's great.
And I think I'm doing a headlining spot in Romulus next month. So little by little, people start giving you more time if you prove that you can do it. So it's just really a matter of paying dues, and you have to be very aggressive. You have to promote yourself. You have to really pester bookers.
Mm-hmm.
My least favorite part of this.
You
but
don't seem
that's
like
how
the
it
type
works.
of person that does that.
No, I'm not very good. Mostly I just threaten them,
Yeah,
and,
that's a good way to go. Do
that's fun.
you write current events jokes like you would do on Bill Maher and things like that? Do you put them into your act like fresh?
Yes. The only thing is, that's fine. That's good. I'm in favor of that.
Mm-hmm.
But you have to realize, that joke will be good for about a week, 10 days, and then you can.
That
never
is
use it
the
again.
problem with
So-
it too. Yeah,
But people like to hear current stuff, though.
I think you're
But
right.
when you're building your act, it needs to be evergreen. Your
Mm-hmm.
act is something you could do for decades. But there is a place for topical stuff too. Absolutely. Just know that it's short-lived. Doesn't have much shelf life.
And when you're trying to build your feature or your your 40-minute, 50-minute set, a lot of that stuff you're just going to have to jettison.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, they wouldn't do anything. Probably wouldn't do anything topical for that.
Yeah, you're
Plus, for some shows,
yeah.
they're like, we need to see 45 minutes of you, not edited, and it has to be clean.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I'm pretty clean, but that's a long time without any kind of reference to any adult material. So that's another challenge. But you just kind of put it together in pieces,
Mm-hmm.
Like here's 10 minutes, and then that could follow this 10 minutes, and it just adds up over time.
What I like also about your comedy is you really engage with the audience, and you engage with the audience in sometimes a kind of an antagonistic way. Is that something that developed, like when you first got on stage, were you afraid of the audience? Did you want to talk to the audience?
Terrified.
You're terrified. When did you
Terrified.
start? When did you start talking to the audience, and how did that develop?
Now that I'm older, I don't care as much.
So do you think that's why you didn't do stand-up early on, was because you were
I cared
timid
too
in
much.
some way? You cared too much.
I cared too much. Yeah, every set was do or die.
Interesting.
If I don't kill tonight, I might as well just kill myself. And now it's like, whatever. I'll never see these jerks again. And that's when you start to get good. Like,
Yeah.
whatever. I mean, I want it to go well, but if I completely bomb, I don't give a shit. I'll never see these people again. That has to be your attitude.
So do you?
It's kind of like, you know what it's like?
Yeah.
It's like, have you ever been on a blind date and you took one look at the person and said, never, but I'm not going to leave. Let's get through the evening. That's when you're at your best. That's when you're at your most attractive, when you're with this person that you're never going to see them again. So you can just be free to be yourself. And next thing you know, they're like gaping at you with open lust, yeah. So that should be your attitude when you're doing stand up.
That might, and some people are just like that when they're young. They just have nothing to lose.
Yeah.
Or maybe some people do a lot of fentanyl and then they feel better somehow.
Well, those people didn't know my parents. Okay.
Yeah.
Any self-confidence I might have had, they beat it out of me. And
Yeah.
it took a long time to get it back. God love them.
God
Now
love
I
'em.
get the last laugh because I make jokes about them.
Yes, and those people that are doing drugs to become heroic, they don't usually make it to old age.
God willing.
God willing. God willing. The ugly blind date approach. It's a new book. Ned Rice's book, The Ugly Blind Date Approach. I love that. What about?
Hey, I've seen worse.
Are you gonna start writing for other shows at some point? Are you still pitching?
I am open to the idea. I'm always looking, but the older you get, the more difficult it is to do. So right now, I'm trying to create a show of my own.
You are. Oh, cool.
But I'm definitely open to any staff writing jobs that might appear. I would certainly consider anyone.
When you say
Absolutely.
I do want to find out about this show you're creating. Is it a sitcom or is it a variety show or what do you call it?
I thought of a game show that I thought can't miss. Nobody bought it. I thought of a reality-based show. So far, no interest. And then I've written a satirical script too that I'm trying to sell.
That sounds cool.
But it's I don't have an agent,
Yeah.
so that makes it a lot harder. But I still know people that will at least have a conversation with me about it. So I'm going to keep plugging.
Yeah. And are you living on a farm now? Or last time I saw you, first of all, you're a great cook.
Yes.
Made pizza, and we were at your condo. It was wonderful. Lots of people are, really enjoy your cooking. But then you said you were moving to a farm. Are you living on a farm now?
Last October, my lovely wife found a place online. She was just like flipping around. That's what she told me anyway. And I said, honey, we're not buying a farm. Are you kidding? Wait a minute. Let me see that picture again. And next thing I know, we're like buying this farm. That's where I live now. It's great. It's a 10-acre farm about 15 minutes south of Ann Arbor. And it's wonderful.
It's like you're living the best of all worlds right now.
Right.
Kamala says, why don't you have an agent? Yeah. It would seem like you would be a hot commodity. It does seem like that.
Because of my age, Kamala. But thank you for asking. Are you an agent?
She's not an agent.
Let's have lunch.
That's my wife.
Seriously.
She's not definitely not an agent.
Perfect.
She has an agent, but I don't know if she has a writer's agent. So, okay, our agents, are there writers? Have you always had a writer's agent? There it is. There it is, Colin. Have you?
I'm sorry, what?
So are there writers' agents that are particular to those types of shows? Or are there just
some of them
agents?
specialize, yeah. Some of them specialize in more than one in a particular area, but if they think you can get work, any one of them will sign you if they think they can make money.
Yeah.
They're not particularly. Sometimes they specialize. Some agents just handle authors, for example. But that's how you can tell if you have any viability. Is if you can find an agent. There was a time when I was turning down agents.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Like, no,
I'm sure.
good,
My
thanks.
God, you were on these huge shows.
That was back then.
Seems like that could be
That
now
was back
too.
then.
Do you ever think that maybe you just need to change your point of view on it? That you're not old, and you're not. You are needed. We're very impressed.
I have two stories.
Yes.
Okay. A dear friend of mine got into TV writing after comedy, and his name was Bill.
Mm-hmm.
And at a certain point in his career, he changed his name to Billy because he thought it would make him sound younger. And for a long time, that was my favorite showbiz story of all time. But this weekend in LA, I heard a better one.
Yeah.
I can't remember who the person was, but he changed let's pretend his name was Bob Smith. Okay, that wasn't his name.
Yeah.
But he changed his name from Bob Smith to Bob Smith Jr. Because he thought people might think I'm my own son.
Oh my God.
And that makes me sound younger.
Remember that? Made my kidneys hurt.
So
that was
the
so funny.
funniest thing I ever heard in my life. Junior,
of course. People will think I'm younger. I'm a younger version. And then did he die?
And then they wheel Junior, and he's like 80 years old.
Oh my God, that's great. I love
That's
that.
so great.
All right, well, we ran out of time, but this has been super fun.
Wow.
Super fun.
It was so much fun, Joel. Thank you for having me on your wonderful show.
You're welcome. But is there? Where should people go to find out about your shows? Should they go to
NedRice.com.
NedRice.com. It's
NedRice.com, and I'm also on Facebook.
Also on Facebook. Are you going to get an Instagram?
Yes, I found out this weekend I have to do that. I just have to find someone considerably younger than me to explain it.
Younger? What do you mean? What's this, ageism? All this talk, and now you're going to find somebody younger?
That's right, baby.
Maybe you can find a junior.
On ham radio.
Oh, on ham.
I'm on ham
Great,
radio.
perfect.
If any of you hipsters want to get a hold of me,
I'll fax you, and you can fax me your schedule.
Perfect.
Oh my God, more Ned.
I'll see you on Friendster.
All right. Okay, dance party time. I got a great.
That's why I'm here.
This is gonna be a real uplifting one. Joel can help you figure out the Instagram. My wife is pimping me out now. Mama J says, I want to work with you, Ned, and I'm really old, and I was on a reality show. Mama J was on The Trust, which is on Netflix. She's my co-host on Tuesday. Why are you saying you were on that show? Say you're on this show, Mama J. Come on now. I got to change things. Ned Rice Jr.
Hey, Joel.
Yeah.
Joel will always speak fondly of you. Don't worry about it. Me and Mama got plans. We're moving on.
Moving on. All right, dance time. Thanks for being on the show.
Yay.
Yay. That's a good one. Okay, this is the main squeeze.
What would you do if I sang out of tune? Would you stand up and walk out on me? Lend me your ears and I'll sing you a song, and I'll try not to sing out of key. Oh, I can cry a little help from my friends. Oh, I can have a little help from my friends. Oh, I'm gonna try a little help from my friends. Oh, yeah.
This is main squeeze. This is something they did during COVID times.
What do I do when my love is away? Does it worry you to be alone? How do I
That guy sounds like Joe Cocker.
Amazing. He doesn't.
I can have a little help from my friends. Oh, I can have a little help from my friends. Oh, I'm gonna try a little help from my friends.
All right, thanks everybody for being here today, and we'll see you next Tuesday. Thanks,
Thank
Ned.
you.
Great seeing you. See you soon, hopefully.
Thank you.